My name is Jeff Spiteri. Jeffrey in its English origins means traveler or peaceful pledge. Spiteri, a common Maltese last name, refers to the Knights Hospitaller, a medieval order who ruled the island. The name was given to illegitimate children abandoned on the steps of the knights' dwellings during the Middle Ages. We act like the past only exists in memories and stories. What's in a name? In words that no longer bear any identifiable link to their original meaning, generations completely ignorant of the lives lived before them that were integral in their birth. These stories and traumas have often culturally rooted themselves into our identities over generations, and often we find ourselves living out these inherited traumas and identities without ever realizing we have a choice or understanding the greater narrative that they share. My grandfather had grown up on the island of Malta with his family, facing potential starvation as the Nazis attempted to destroy any Allied ships coming near it, or being blown to bits as they awaited their fate in the bomb shelters cut into the limestone rock that their homes sat on. I had already known that the trauma my grandfather had experienced from the war had been passed down to me through my father. It was apparent in my father's own rageaholic manner that my grandfather had abused him. As my aunt so eloquently put it one evening during a visit, if your grandfather did now what he did to your father and uncle when they were younger, he'd be in jail. It was cryptic like everything in my family. Not much was spoken about it, but I understood it because I could feel it. It was a truth more closer than I knew. It was close to 3 p.m. when we made it to the border of Iowa. Our train, crossing the Mississippi from high above on a trestle, beheld a sight to see. The small town of Fort Madison was a whole story underwater. The riverfront, awash with murky flooding and refuse from the street. The tops of cars either completely submerged or barely peeking from under their sunken parking spaces. Pulling past the bridge and on towards higher ground from behind the riverfront, our train entered BNSF's Fort Madison rail yard. Looking over the lip of our well car, Joe, Josh, and I scanned the vast landscape engulfed by the brown waters stretching into the distance. Laying back down on the floor of the train car, watching the afternoon sky drift by, our train made its way out of the floodplain that had become Fort Madison. The locomotive was positioned facing backwards and was a much older unit than the two in front of it. Climbing the stairs on the back end, we headed to the top of the walkway around the side of the beast, leading into the crew cabin. Pulling the latch, the door opened. A wall of heat from the engine room greeted us. The whole back panel behind the driver's seat was emblazoned with the words, "High voltage, caution." Scooting away from the wall as far as possible, closer towards the stairwell, I began dousing myself with cold water without even a thought towards the mess I was making on the floor. My body was weak and my head a slight haze of exhaustion. For the next 3 to 4 hours, we poured water on ourselves from the locomotive's mini fridge. Seeing the faintness in my face, Josh pulled out an extra bandana he had and gave it to me. Instructing me to unfold it and put it on my head, he poured water over it, letting the cool chill sink in and linger on the back of my neck and scalp. We were both worried, not sure how much longer it would be till Barstow, our next stop.